Now we're going to jump into how you can book stays with your points. There aren't as many amazing deals out there as there are with flights when it comes to hotels, but there's still a lot of great value out there, and depending on the kind of traveler you are, this might be a great fit for your points. So let's jump in. This right here is one of my favorite hotels on earth, and it's because it's more than a stay, it's really an experience, and you can book it with Hyatt points. We'll go over that soon. Unlike airlines, most hotels do not use award charts anymore. This is primarily because most of the hotels you can book with points are US brands, whereas a lot of the airlines that you can book with points are international brands, and they operate more on a friendly traveler perspective. But there is still some great value with the Hyatt program, and there are advantages even to the brands that don't use points. The upside of using points is that you have consistent pricing while cash prices fluctuate. So you're going to want to use your points when the cash price is really high, not when the cash price is really low. You can also find some amazing deals when it comes to award charts, but the downside is that there is less availability. So some of the dynamic players like Hilton and Marriott offer a lot more availability, but there's not nearly the value that there is on Hyatt. We're going to be talking about each one of these programs plus an additional one, but the only two on this list that have an official award chart are World of Hyatt and Wyndham Rewards. And World of Hyatt definitely outshines all the other players, including Wyndham's not very good award chart. But let's get started with Best Western Rewards. Now, Best Western Rewards cannot be booked with transferable currency. So you would have to have a Best Western Rewards credit card or stay a lot at Best Western to get a lot of their points. For the most part, they are not a great value. This hotel in Honolulu would be $173 a night or 36,000 points, which leaves you with a per point value of 0.5 cents. IHG One Rewards. This is the brand that carries Holiday Inn Express and Holiday Inn. They can be transferred to by Bilt Rewards. Bilt Rewards are pretty hard to come by, but they can be transferred, and they also get transferred to from Chase Ultimate Rewards. So there is some possibility to use them. Your IHG points are going to be worth generally around 0.7 cents. This can vary a little bit high and low depending on the specific hotel, but for the most part, 0.7 cents. Now, I want to talk to you about your every other purchase card. So my every other purchase card is Capital One because it's still a transferable currency. I use the Venture X for everything I can because I get 2x points back. Now, in some cases, depending on if you like stays and maybe there's a certain hotel brand that works for you, you may want to use a hotel card for your every other purchase card. These hotel cards often give higher point returns than you would get from just a general card transferring at a 1-to-1 ratio. So Chase Sapphire, for example, if you were to spend $1,000 on other purchases, you would get 1,000 Chase points, which you could transfer to IHG and get 1,000 points. You would get 0.7 cents per point, and you would end up with a 0.7% return on your other purchases. If, on the other hand, you invested in the IHG Premier card, which has an annual fee, you would get 3 points for every dollar spent on other purchases. If you spent $1,000 on other purchases, you would get 3,000 points. Those 3,000 points would ultimately become a 2.1% return on your other purchases. So different ways to look at it. Obviously, if you do the IHG card, you are locked into IHG points rather than being able to transfer them to a host of partners. But depending on your travel situation, this might be the right fit for you. And every hotel brand is going to have their own credit cards with their own levels of return for different personal cards as well as for business cards. So take a look based on your favorite brands and see if there's a card that might work for your other purchases. I mean that in terms of like my advertising spend always goes on American Express or Chase because I get a 3 or a 4x return on those purchases. I always use those cards. But for things like miscellaneous supplies or Amazon purchases, things like that, I do have an other purchases card, which in my case is Capital One Venture X. Okay, let's talk about choice privileges. Choice privileges, again, not a lot of great value with the exception of using Wells Fargo rewards, which transfer to choice privileges at a 1-to-2 ratio. So if you look here, this hotel would be 1,571 points a night, instead of $103. The rates I'm giving you are before taxes and fees, so it may be slightly more than 1 cent per point, but for the most part, it's going to be around 1, maybe 1.1, 1.2. Here's another example of an award chart actually that they use. This is for a hotel in Japan on the island of Ishigaki, where they do not tie it to the cash price. So if the cash price is high and they have a award night available, you can book it for 12,000 points a night, no matter what day of the week it is. In this case, I would never transfer my American Express rewards points to it or my Capital One Venture miles because they only transfer at a 1-to-1 ratio, and I'd get a 1 cent return on those points. I want at least a 2 cent return on my points, so I might transfer Wells Fargo rewards, might transfer Citi. Again, I think there's more value from other programs, but in your case, this might be a good fit. Accor Live Limitless. To be honest, I have never booked a hotel that I know of with this program, and I never transferred points to this program, but I did some research so that you can know how you can use your points. So Capital One Venture transfers at a 2-to-1 ratio, meaning you have to transfer 2,000 to get 1,000, and Wells Fargo a 3-to-2. The reason I've never used them is because they are absolutely 100% fixed. There is no way to get good value out of them because on a bad day, they are worth 2.1 cents per point. On a good day, they are worth 2.1 cents per point. So if you just want a simple way to redeem your points for cash, you can do this. 1,000 reward points is worth 20 euros. And 20 euros approximately right now is worth like $21 US. So that's where you get 2.1 cents per point. But remember that you have to transfer double to get there. This is a hotel in Hawaii. Instead of paying 225 euros, you could pay 11,250 points. Again, your return 2.1 cents per point. Here's how many points you would have to transfer from Capital One and Wells Fargo respectively in order to get this level of points. Let's talk about Wyndham Rewards. Wyndham Rewards does have an award chart, but it's not very good. So depending on the card you use with Citi, whether it's a no annual fee credit card or a annual fee credit card, you get different ratios, either 1 to 0.8 or 1-to-1, and then Capital One transfers at a 1-to-1 to Wyndham. I have never transferred to Wyndham, not that I'm not able to because I have Capital One miles, but I've just never found a good value from them. So they basically have 3 levels of nights. They have a 7,500 award night, they have a 15,000 award night, and they have a 30,000 award night. Here's an example of a 7,500 award night. Baymont by Wyndham, Oklahoma City. This hotel, if you weren't using points, would cost you $65 a night, or you can pay $53 a night plus 1,500 points, or you can pay 7,500 points. Getting 0.9 cent return on your points, I would not do that. Here's a 15,000, which otherwise would have been 127 a night, getting a 0.8 cent return. Not going to do that. Lastly, this hotel in Waikiki, $164 a night or 30,000 points. Again, not going to do that, 0.5 cent return. The final program I'll talk about in this segment is the leading hotels of the world, simply because Citi Thank You Rewards currently transfers to it. They do have some interesting value here, and the points are worth a lot, but it's hard to get a lot of the points because you have to transfer 5 points from Citi in order to get one of their points. So 5,000 to 1,000. This hotel, for example, in Honolulu would be $625 a night, or you can spend 7,816 points. Now, if you could transfer Citi rewards to this program at a 1-to-1 ratio, that would be beautiful. But because it's a 5-to-1 ratio, you're only going to get a 1.6 return on your investment because you're going to have to spend 40,000 Citi Thank You rewards to get 8,000 leading hotels of the world points, and that will give you a 1.6 cent return back on your points. Again, in my opinion, you can do better, but this might work for your situation, and they do have different rates, so you could check out their website and see, oh, this might look fun for your situation if you have lots of Citi Thank You points that you want to spend. A question I have been asked before is, can I use my points to book an Airbnb? And the answer is yes. And the answer is also, you should never do this. Here's why. You can use your United points to buy a $100 gift card. That $100 gift card will cost you 33,333 miles. What you could do with 33,333 miles on United is worth a whole lot more than $100 on Airbnb. So do not transfer this and get a 0.3-cent return on your points. So the programs we just covered don't have the best value, but there is some options out there, specifically if you want to use an other purchases credit card to boost some points in these programs, maybe like Holiday Inn or Best Western brands, and you like to travel with them. So there is some opportunity out there, but I think you'll like the next program a whole lot better.